Well, we're not quite a mage yet, but we'll get there. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Morgan, and bid you all welcome back to Gothic 2. Last episode, we did some running around. Met up with Greg again. He seems to be a colorful fellow who expects us to do a lot of busy work for him. But we ended up at Zardus's place. Lester has made it here as well. So we checked in with them. All well and good. We're on our way back to town. We passed somebody on the way that I want to make sure we address. We mentioned that Cavalorn has moved on. He's actually moved on to the stone circle outside of Lobart's farm, which conveniently is one of our destinations for Nefarius's quest to retrieve the missing portal key ornaments, as it were. Yeah, so it seems he's already disseminated that task to other members of the Ring of Water. But, we'll see if Cavalorn's made any progress. Now, last episode, I was kind of taken aback by the fact that the draw distance near Orland's Tavern got so much shorter. I actually haven't played this without the DirectX 11 mod in so long that I didn't remember how bad it was. I have learned, thanks to a helpful post on the GOG forums for this game, how to enhance the view distance. It's probably going to cause some issues here. It's actually just cut our frame rate in half as we stroll along. So what I'm going to do, where we don't need it, I'm going... Okay, that didn't even help. So you remember last time I was able to increase the view distance by some console command, but every time I open the menu it reset. Turns out if you install the system pack, there is a view distance multiplier in the system pack config file, which can essentially increase the view distance, the in-game view distance, by a factor of whatever value you enter for it. Now, of course, the reason the view distance is so restricted is for performance reasons. So when I reduce it to there, we get about another 15 frames a second while I'm recording. As soon as we try and unlock it, once it envelops the entire city, that's where we seem to lose it. So for now, I'll keep it like that. It doesn't bother me at this distance, just to improve things a little bit. What I did learn while I was fooling around with it is that the view distance near the lake actually does scale back. There's something in the game engine to actually pull the draw distance closer to you as you approach the lake. I guess because there's so much going on in that area that the game, just to get systems of the time to be able to render it properly without a huge dip in performance, actually did have scripted zones to scale back the view distance, and that is one of them. Something I didn't know before. But that's why it looked so bad in that area. Just because with the lake and the farms nearby and everything going on, they actually reduced the draw distance. Something in the game engine reduces it under your preset value, which is annoying. Now, I don't understand how the DirectX 11 mod was basically able to completely unlock the view distance and improve in performance so tremendously well. But everything else, every other problem it causes, I just decided for the quality of the walkthrough, I did not want to deal with that. Anyway, here's good old Cavalorn. Long time no see.
Are you looking for something?
Is it that obvious? Yes, I have an assignment from the water mages to look for some lost ornament.
That's convenient. I have the same assignment from Nefarius.
So you belong to the Ring of Water?
Not yet, but I'm working on it.
I'm glad. Then I don't have to do this alone.
Have you already found an ornament?
I found the place where we should find one. This stone circle could be one of those structures that Nefarius described. Now, we just have to find the mechanism we're supposed to look for.
Didn't seem to be looking very hard, considering you were looking in the opposite direction.
I gave Vatras your letter.
I didn't expect anything else. Thanks.
Alright then. We'll look for this mechanism for you, since you are very stoically standing watch. Well, found one of them. Okay, that has done little. Perhaps he has other structures. Ah, they also hide their own switches. Alright, last but not least. Oh-ho! Something's wrath has made the earth tremble, but nothing has awoken.
I tried the mechanism. It doesn't do anything at all.
Then Lobart's farmers were right. They said that one of them had already played around with the stones here. A stone sentinel appeared out of nowhere and attacked them. The farmers called the militia. The militiamen called the paladins, who came and destroyed the monster. I've already searched the whole area. If there was an ornament here, the paladins have it now.
Then one of us has to get into the upper
Take
quarter
it easy.
of the city.
Keep your
I
clothes
don't
on.
have any time for that. You'll have to do it. I'm going to the city now. We'll meet again at Vatris's.
Oh, this asshole. He doesn't have time to do anything except stand around. He actually just goes back to the city and sits on a bench and says he doesn't have time to do anything else. Meanwhile, we're tasked with finding all the rest of the damn ornaments. So yeah, Cavalorn, ironically, seems to be the least productive member of the Ring of Water. What Baltram does, I'm not sure. But he at least has done one thing more productive than Cavalorn has, which is take care of Laris's duties for him, at least for a moment. But Cavalorn, every time we meet him, he's like, oh, I got more important shit to do, and then just sits around. Yeah, I work with too many people like that. Gets under my skin. Anyway, we don't really have anyone business in the city. We're going to head back the way of Orland's Tavern. So I will see you there. So we stand upon a bridge. You can see just across there. Those are the bandits that Errol said had accosted him and slew his helpers. Now, there's quite a few of them. But we have some tricks to try and dispatch them efficiently. The only real concern here is the archer. There's a single archer among them. The rest of them are all melee characters. Now, the trick here, the easiest way to deal with them at this point in the game is to pull them one at a time, which is very difficult because usually they all aggro together. The trick is similar... What the hell just happened? Oh. That's right, I forgot I've done that. The trick here is that, if you are standing at a certain distance and pull them, only the one that gets damaged actually aggroes. So, luckily with magic doesn't have a chance to hit. It will always hit as long as the enemy is not blocked by anything, and as long as you are in range to target them. If you are this far away, you can pull only the one that you hit. If you're closer and hit them, essentially all the other bandits are within range to be aggroed by that action. So from here, we can just hit this fellow. You see everyone kind of react to it, but none of them do anything. As a matter of fact, even the guy we hit didn't do anything. Which is actually not ideal, because we just wasted that scroll, so I'm gonna reload it. And try again. Maybe from the very end of the bridge. There we go. So yeah, at the max range of spells, even the enemies you hit won't necessarily aggro by it, but it also causes problems with the actual hit detection. So there's a really annoying bug that can happen with spells, where essentially if your lock-on, the target breaks when the spell hits them. I don't trust this guy. If you lock on, the target breaks when the spell hits them. It seems to fuck up the damage calculation, so it only does minimum damage, which is 5 hit points that we've talked about before. So if we stood out of range and managed to hit him with that, it would only do 5 damage. Which is quite frustrating. But anyway, so here's the issue. The bowman now stands at the end of the bridge. He's the closest target, so for us to be able to hit anything else, anyone else I should say, he would likely aggro with them. So to get around that, we are going to get around that. Head to the other side of the bridge. Now, unfortunately, there are some critters on the other side, a little close to where we're going to be operating, so we're going to have to flatten them just to make sure they don't get in our way. Now, they can help in some ways if you want to try and use them to soften up the bandits a bit. But the bandits will easily kill them, so frankly, I prefer to take care of them myself. That way I don't lose on the XP. So, stand by, wait patiently while I deal with these. I think that one's out of range enough, we don't have to worry about him. So, let us save up. Now, this can be a bit tricky here, because this tree's in the way, it can throw off your sense of distance. From here, we will definitely aggro more than one. I want to pick the closest one. Now, if you're using the conventional, or contemporary controls that I'm using, not the Gothic 1 classic controls, you'll notice at a certain distance you can't lock onto targets anymore, which is quite unfortunate. Which means we cannot keep them out of can't keep them in focus even when things get in our line of sight here. Seems to have done the trick, but I can't tell if anything else has come with him. It appears they have not, so this is mano y mano. Too easy. So like I said, our main concern is the archer, so we're going to save him for last, so that way we can close the distance and avoid him being able to bring his arrows to bear. Because we don't have much resistance to projectiles. It's actually very similar to our protection against weapons. The only thing is, because bows don't have a critical hit mechanic, we are very vulnerable to their damage. Because they always do maximum damage as long as they hit. Unfortunately, bandits tend to have a very high... Or any enemy that really uses a bow tends to have a fairly high skill with it, which means they can hit us at a generous distance. So, next, there are actually, I think, 3 more bandits. 3 more melee bandits. This is one of them. So that field raider is not gonna cause us trouble. Should be good enough. If we get more than one, that won't be the end of the world. They can be fairly easy to deal with. The only problem is because we do so little damage, we can't really afford very many slip-ups in our dispatching of them. Now, bear in mind, these guys have the rapier-type swords, which have a decent melee range. So they can hit you a little further away than it appears they can. So be aware of that and be careful. And we're getting there little by little. There isn't really any major need to deal with these guys now. They're not in our way, and we don't need any of the loot that they're guarding, since we already got the stone tablets for Errol. But at least we can recoup those that we gave away. Oh, balls! That did not go to plan. I thought it was far enough away. Almost seems like we don't have the distance that we want here. So as stated, we can deal with these guys. Seeing as they both have the stupid AI, it's not too hard to deal with them. The problem is because you have to try and get them when they swing together. Otherwise, one of them is liable to stop and hit you. I don't want the blood flies getting involved. Yay! Did an old double swing. shit. Yo! I can't see. Yipe! Owie. Heads up. Well, that guy really threw me for a loop there. Come on! Shit! Alright, we're doing it. Down to 1. And there it becomes much easier. So as I said, not the end of the world. As long as we run until the archer loses interest, we can keep the bandits, the melee ones, coming at us a little bit easier. There's also a bit of collision funkiness with the wall around that corner, so the bandits tend to get stuck there. So that's probably what helped us elude the archer. So as I said, as long as the archer is alone, he's much easier to deal with because we can waltz within melee range and he won't have time to bring his bow to bear. It's made even easier by sneaking, but as we discussed before, strafing does not make noise. Strafing or backpedaling for that matter. Let's just double check that there's nobody with him. So at least with strafing, we can get right up on him. Land some freebies. And he also only has a heavy branch as a weapon, as a melee weapon, which makes him slightly less dangerous in melee. But he has the same fighting skill as the others, which means he has just as much chance of landing a critical hit, which is still a concern. One thing you might notice playing this game at 60 FPS is that FPS doesn't seem to really be that much of an issue, because even when it's rendering at 60 FPS, the animations, in some circumstances, seem to occur at a much slower frame rate. So that whole fight there, even though my display was telling me it was 60 FPS, was very choppy. So that's why I'm not too fussed about FPS, and I prefer to have the unlocked draw distance whenever possible. Right, left, left, right, 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 left. Nailed it. On that note, we actually haven't gotten to the chests in the tavern. For some reason, I completely ignored the rooms. Also on that note, I wanted to bring up a comment that I received on the last video, which I forget who said it, so I shall screenshot it here, who mentioned that Orlan will actually give you a free room if you are a fire mage, which I did not know because I usually get the free room before I become a fire mage. But I guess he feels obliged to offer free room and board for members of the clergy. Which is funny, because as we'll learn later on, he has no problem trying to
get this open without the right key.
Pull the wool over them. Why don't I have the right key? Did Orlan not give it to me?
It had to happen sooner or later.
Did I drop it?
I never knew that.
Did I load the wrong save?
Nobody wants to know.
I loaded the wrong save game.
Better off myself. That's no secret.
What save game did I load? I loaded this. I loaded one of these. I meant to load this one down here. Oh, how much did I do since then?
It was his decision.
Show me your wares.
Certainly, brother of the ring.
I never knew that.
So, bear in mind that Orlan sells some very high-level weapons. As we know,
Nobody will learn
if
anything.
if you open his merchant inventory and then do not buy, well, doesn't matter if you buy it. Once you've opened his merchant inventory, he will select the strongest weapon he can equip and use that. So if you want this barbarian battle axe now, you better buy it.
I agree.
There are some mods out there, which I really should have looked into, that
That was no big
avoid that issue. But, whatever. We're not really buying weapons anyway. So, I'm keeping one of these bandits rapiers because you'll notice there's a letter scratched into the pommel, as the description tells us. That's going to be important for us later, as we're tracking down the person who's dealing weapons to the bandits. Also, here's why the tavern's called the Dead Harpy, by the way.
done that.
Completely missed this very gaudy centerpiece.
Hey, you!
Nobody will learn anything from me.
Is the beer any good here?
It's not exactly the best, but in these bleak times, you can't be choosy.
Can't be choosy.
Completely.
What are you doing here?
Up until a few weeks ago, I was slaving away on the landowner's fields. One day it just got too much for me, and I took myself out of there straight away. Now I'm my own boss. Everything I own is in this chest here.
You listen to the wrong
That's all I need, too. Interested in a little contest?
decision, wasn't it?
Well, thanks for telling me where your life savings are, because,
What you can do about it.
doesn't look very well guarded. I get the feeling that nobody else around here is looking after your goods, very,
That was obvious. all along.
what's the word?
Tell me that isn't
Well, I
true.
fucked up.
What kind of a contest would that be?
I call it bottoms up. The
Why not
rules
down?
are quite simple. We take turns ordering a tankard of the best beer the old geezer has to offer.
Nothing amazing.
Every tankard has to be drunk dry so that it doesn't even leave a ring if you set it on the table upside down. The
Wow,
last
it is
man
quite stormy.
standing wins. The loser pays the tab and a steak. Well,
I used to
how
say that
about it?
myself.
Maybe some other time, when I'm not in a hurry.
That's
Well,
all
I would have
just
loved to
gossip.
partake in a contest like that, but I guess the developers did not want to try and develop a whole minigame around it.
Do you really
Could I bet on someone else, though?
Certainly. If you finally manage to find someone with the guts to go up against me, then I'll bet with you.
Nothing
Everybody
amazing
pays the
anymore.
same amount into a pot. The winner gets everything.
get away with
The
that?
size of the stake depends on your purse. Bring me someone who dares to go up against me and you've got a bet.
And that's the truth.
I've got somebody who wants to compete against you.
Who might that be?
Randolph.
Randolph the Braggart. All right, why not? Send the wimp to me and the deal stands. You can pick him up again no more than 2 days later.
away with that.
Who knows? Maybe you'll get lucky and he'll be able to stand by then.
hardly know
How
the ability
big is
these
your
days.
bet?
All in, motherfucker.
Change.
100.
That's what I like to hear.
He doesn't see that.
I'll take your bet and hold it until the contest is over. All right?
Oh, can I trust you?
Here's my stake.
All right. Don't take too long bringing Randolph here, you hear?
Believe
Here you hear?
Did anything else of interest happen?
Not that I know of. Nobody tells me anything.
wants to hear that.
Oh, always out of the loop. I know how that feels.
That himself.
So, we've talked to Randolph. He mentioned this game going on here. Also mentioned that
That was obvious. all
he gets the feeling that Rukhar is putting one over on him, somehow able to lace his beer with gin. Now, gin is a very distinct flavor. I've never enjoyed gin myself. I think I would very easily notice if somebody was putting it into a very piss-weak lager or whatever Orlan's serving here. Right, right, right,
Listen to the
left,
wrong people.
right, left, right. Fuck me, this isn't gonna be worth it at this point. Right, left, left. I guess that was worth it. For some reason, each of these rooms has a locked chest and an unlocked chest. I don't know why there's so many goods stored in vacant rooms. So,
It's all just gossip.
if we lay hands on Rukhar's chest, where Randolph states... Alright, I guess I lied about the unlocked chest, but... Where Randolph states that Rukhar is probably keeping the gin. If Rukhar can see us when we put hands on it, we're in trouble, but nobody else actually cares. Excuse me. Left, left.
Nobody
Wow.
will learn anything from me.
So I broke a $10 lockpick for $1. So the trick here is that Randolph actually goes and sits outside at midnight, which is very strange. That is the worst possible time I can think to go sit outside facing a strange road. But you'll notice he's not here. He is out here, and that is perfect timing for us to go sneak in here. Now, I have tested this every which way. If you can take everything in here, and for some reason he's never suspicious. But the quest will still fail if you do not replace the gin with water. I'm pretty sure I've tested every combination. I've left it empty.
I used to say that myself.
I have put water in there with the gin. See if it could confuse him. You have to take the gin and replace it with water, even though the bottles don't even resemble each other, even without the texture pack. So I don't know what the dealio is. But very important that we replace that. Anyway, we'll get back to daylight. Go let Randolph know that that all bets are off. Or all bets are on, or I don't know. I don't know how that figure of speech works. Let's head that way. Alright, quit picking grass. We got something more fun for you to do.
How much money do you need for the contest?
10 gold coins.
I'll give you the money to compete against Rukhar.
Really? Thank you so much. I'll repay you soon. If I win, I'll even fork out a little more than that. I'll be seeing you.
Sorry for my excitement. My ice cube in my drink just exploded. Anyway, I recommend you do this quest now rather than in Chapter 3. Do it in Chapter 1 or 2. But in Chapter 3, for reasons we'll observe later, Randolph actually has a chance to die on the way here. If you clear the path for him, there's not as much to worry about, but there are some wandering enemies that show up later that might sneak one past you. But basically, as long as Randolph is out of view distance, he kind of like despawns and just teleports there, which is exactly what we're about to observe, but I recommend taking care of this sooner. Now, on the subject of mods, we discussed it earlier. One of another mod I saw, which it's actually a single mod that did all these things. I don't know why I keep calling them like they're different mods, but one of the things I saw was it basically solved an issue that's very annoying in this game. I can understand why they did it, but basically, in later chapters, some quests actually reward you with more experience. And I think the reason they did that is because postponing the quests, they feel like you'll be a higher level by then. So the rewards need to be more substantial. But at the same time, that means by postponing all the quests until later, until like the final chapter you can possibly do them, you actually get more XP as a result. So that can be quite frustrating, and I don't like to postpone, especially because I usually like to do all like this nonsense quests in the first chapter. That way I can focus heavily on story quests in the later chapters, and then do all the new side quests that generate as time goes on. But whatever. We're just gonna go through it. We get enough XP that I'm not terribly fussed about it. You notice Orlan standing out front.
Got me into. Now I can play lookout for Rukhar again.
Why?
As long as he's holding his little contests in there, it's better if no outsider learns about it. It's not good for business, you see.
I can think of two reasons why that's a stupid argument, because first of all, you got people in there who are obviously aware of it happening. Second of all, I would think a contest, drinking contest, any kind of gambling going on, would probably encourage business. Because what the hell else do these farmers got to do in their free time? In fact, I find it quite amusing that these farmers spend all day here and never actually go back to work in the fields.
We have to pay our contribution to the city. If we don't, we'll end up having trouble with the paladins.
Well, you don't pay your dues on any field whatsoever, by the looks of it.
The militia don't come and help us either. They only come from the city to take away our harvest and livestock.
Hey, you!
That's not what
Hey, look at this floating
I
boy.
won't let myself be used by anybody.
That was
Neither
no
the
big
king
deal.
nor fat Onar. I fight only for myself.
That's not what I heard.
You are doing nothing of the sort. You're just sitting there.
He thinks it's
So you can try and chat up
Hey,
these
you.
fools. They don't have anything to say while they're standing here.
That was obvious all
They're just sipping away.
Did anything else of interest happen?
no time
Not that I...
So,
Nobody will learn anything from me.
where is it? Bottoms up. Bets on, I should watch this. That's a lie. You should not watch this. It takes 2 whole days for this to wrap up. So I don't recommend watching it. In fact, I recommend going to bed and sleeping the days away so that we can see the outcome sooner.
over again.
So the fun thing is you can walk right past them. Orlan is actually what triggers the conclusion of the quest, of the contest. So even though they're still standing here drinking, once you step out front and Orlan talks to you, that's when it's
No one
over.
really wants to hear that.
There you are, finally. I've been waiting for you.
What happened?
The drinking contest is finally over.
Who won?
This time, Randolph has won. Rukhar must have been having a bad day.
Bad day indeed. A fair day.
Hope that was the last time.
Differently.
I don't want that kind of to do in my house ever again. Remember that.
Oh, I'll remember. Unfortunately, we never get the chance to do it again anyway.
Wait a minute. Hangover?
No, I feel fine, really. It finally worked this time. Thanks again for your money. Here, take it back. Looks
With
like Rukhar
interest.
won't be getting up anytime soon.
Indeed. He parks his ass on this bench until the end of days, in fact.
You seem to have bitten off more than you can chew.
Here's your money, and not one word more.
Did anything else of interest happen?
Not that I know of.
Whoa! Things are going nuts. I guess he decided to go to town on these scavengers. I mean, after all that drinking, I could do with some chicken. No, I hit him. Please, don't. No, please, help. Why are you coming at me, you dickhead? Oh, fuck it, I'll deal with both of you. Think you're hot shit. God, I'm defending your ass. I know I hit you by accident, but I just tried to save you. I just helped you win this stupid contest. Now you're coming at me like I owe you something. Rukhar's an idiot and gotten himself stuck, so at least there's that. Hello. He has figured himself out. I can't see. Oh, he got me. Why are they stepping me, you motherfuckers? This is a joke. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode has gone off the rails. Bear with me.
He insisted he knew better.
I'm getting the fuck out of here before Randolph decides he wants some fried chicken and then causes trouble. So I'm just gonna walk this way. Hopefully he's despawned by now, because I'm walking back. So I guess while we're here, I'll show you one interesting thing that, nope, he has not disappeared yet. Guess we better not walk in range to spawn the scavengers, at least. One interesting thing about this place is that, as far as I know, I actually haven't done this in a while, but as far as I know, nobody here really gives a shit if you start, pocketing the things on the table. It's one of the few places, few, like, interior zones where things on the table and things in the area are not flagged as stolen items when you pick them up, including that chest. The only reason that chest causes trouble is because of Rukhar himself having a flag with it. Okay. Well, Randolph is still causing shit. But anyway, none of that stuff is really terribly valuable other than that gold candlestick that we picked up, so that's something we definitely want. Now, for the record, I'm passing by a lot of these critters on the way to our destinations here. I will be killing these off-screen. I just don't want you to have to sit and watch me just button mash on some monsters to gain the XP, but I will be doing that off-screen just so we don't miss it all.
Traveling so far from home, out here you have to be careful, especially when you're all by yourself.
What are you doing out here?
Well, the tavern is too expensive for me. That's why I settled here. The previous inhabitants don't seem to need it anymore.
You know what that's called? That's called squatting.
Who used to live in this camp?
No idea. Probably some hunters. I suppose it got too dangerous for them out here.
Isn't it too dangerous out here?
Well,
for some hunters, maybe.
If you can defend yourself. My crossbow has already proven to be of service many times.
It's not all that big.
But
size doesn't count.
Know how to handle it. I used to have a bigger one. Unfortunately, I lost it. I ventured too far north into the mountains. There's a big stone circle there with a sacrificial altar. While I was hunting scavengers up there, these vile undead beings came out of the woods and attacked me. All I could do was run for my life. While I was running, the crossbow slipped from my hand. I bet it's still lying up there by that strange stone circle in the north.
Could very well be, and we may very well find it in the future.
Can you teach me something?
Before I teach you anything, you'll have to improve your dexterity.
Now, he basically only teaches you crossbow skills, and he says improve your dexterity. That might be confusing to some people, because crossbows actually require strength to equip, but they still use dexterity in their damage calculation, which makes them the least effective damage option, or ranged option. I don't know why I said damage. So, crossbows are basically only useful as a sort of backup ranged weapon for people going for strength builds, but the problem is, if you're going for a pure strength character, especially with two-handed weapons, that does not really leave you any room to invest skill points in crossbows. Right, left, left, right. Right, left, left, right, left. Right, left, left, right, left, left, right. Not worth it. So, I think it was it's a YouTube channel by the name of Salty TV who really just sat down and played the crossbow and bow animations side by side and determined that over, I think, like a 10-second span, you have enough time to fire one more bow shot at max skill than you do crossbows. The only reason crossbows might be more appealing to some people is that they have a better damage to stat ratio than bows do. Bows usually have an equal base damage to stat requirement. But seeing as stats are used in the damage calculation anyway, and dexterity is used over strength in crossbow damage, their effectiveness is very limited. So I really can't recommend crossbows in any capacity, quite frankly. Left, right, left, right, left. Shit on my face. Left, right, left, right. And once again, not worth it. How are we doing on lockpicks anyway? I've been breaking a fuck ton of them. We've still got 9, so I think we're in good shape. Assuming you aren't a total buffoon and fail every combination, every step of every combination you come across, you probably don't need to buy lockpicks. But the time may come. Anyway, I think we'll take our first steps on the path towards Onar's farm. I actually thought we would get to it today, but all these mishaps have thrown off my sense of timing. because I don't really know how deep in the video we are, like post-editing. I'm sure I got at least 5 minutes worth of material I need to cut out. Anyway, we're heading this way. We got some wolfies. I wonder if it would be more smart to use the bow to deal with these, but oh well. We'll be alright, I think. Unfortunately, wolves are... enemies like wolves are trickier than the AI of human beings who do the charge attack, just because they're so much faster, and tend to do their stationary bite attack. It's not really a big deal. I mean, to be fair, they don't do terribly much damage, and we're not going to get in any necessary fights before you have the opportunity to rest. But if you are conscious of trying to conserve your healing points, if anybody knows a proper trick to deal with those, then let me know. As we know, wild boars have a similar AI to wolves, and trying to separate them is a right pain in the ass. What we can try to do... I don't really know how to explain it, but you can try and get them separated by... sort of the fact, like, when one of them starts threatening you, the other ones will follow you to try and do the threatening posture. And you can try to ensure that they don't stop and do the posture until they're out of range to aggro the other one. That's about the only thing I can recommend. And that's a very difficult thing to do. Maybe not difficult, but it's sometimes more frustrating than it's worth. Now, we got our first Boar Skin of the game. Very important that you pronounce that with a B and not an F. But, it's actually kind of funny that, we can sell these to Bosper, but he does not have any voice lines to take them from you. Because wild boars were added by the Night of the Raven expansion, which is kind of hilarious in a way, because they don't exist in the add-on world whatsoever. But yeah, so wild boars added by the expansion, which means they never bothered to give Bosper any lines for accepting wild boar skins as part of his job for you as an apprentice. So it's funny, he just kind of takes them at the start of everything and doesn't say anything about it. We'll see that in short order, or someday. I don't know, man.
This here is your hut?
Yes. Why? Anything wrong with it?
Don't you have any problems with the mercenaries?
As long as I don't interfere with their business, they'll leave me alone too. Moreover, they're good customers, and I pay them to keep an eye on my house when I'm not home.
Huh. So, no wonder. You're actually you're the type of person that's probably wanted by the town, because you're dealing with both the citizens and the rebelling peasantry / mercenaries. So, there must be a price on your head at this point.
Show me your wares.
There isn't much choice, I'm afraid.
So, Errol's one of those merchants whose inventory never changes over the course of the game. So he always has these weapons, and as I have said more than once, if you want his best weapons, you have to buy them now, otherwise he will equip it. He has this Amulet of Strength, which, if you want that, go ahead and buy it now. This Elixir of Life. Now, here's the thing with hit points. Any kind of source of free hit points. Hit points are one of those stats that you cannot invest any learning points into. Therefore, any free source of it is valuable at any point. So, you might as well take them for free. Excuse me, at any opportunity you can get. So, we will actually take that now. We need to hold on to this pickaxe. We cannot do Greg's excavating missions without it. We'll get rid of that.
Known better.
Actually, should have not gotten rid of that. Get rid of those. We have a belt of force. Do I want... I want to keep the... I'm tempted by the belt of strength, but I think we want to keep the armor bonus of that belt on us instead. So I didn't mean to sell that ring of force, but whatever. It really doesn't avail us much at this point. Very valuable herb right over here. There's a bunch of mushrooms, but there's a dragon root on this stump. And that is good for making strength potions. Potions that permanently enhance your strength. If you want to invest anything in... On that subject, if you want to invest anything in stats that are upgradable with learning points, which is basically everything except for hit points, then you want to save your bonus sources for later. So potions, anybody who offers you free skill points or free attribute points, you want to save those for later. Stone tablets, for example. But hit points, since you cannot invest learning points in them anyway, you might as well... Whoops, that's not what I thought I had. Well, that was a waste. You want to use these now. So that's another 20 hit points for us. Very helpful. Now, interesting thing about Errol's hut. For some reason, it turns on some kind of like suspicious music. In the vanilla game, Errol didn't exist, and this hut was unoccupied. But if you set foot in here, these mercenaries around the corner heard you, you'd be in for trouble. Because they would attack you for trespassing. But even though they don't seem to attack you for trespassing anymore, the suspicious music still plays. Anyway, you'll notice this gentleman wants to have a talk with us. I guess we'll have a talk with him.
What do we have here? Don't I know you from somewhere?
Who wants to know?
I'm Buster, one of Lee's mercenaries. And you had better be a little nicer to me, or I'll have your hide. All right, what do you want here?
My hide's not worth much unless your name is Buffalo Bill. So, my recommendation here is be ready for a fight, because we're going to talk smart to this guy. Because we get a little extra out of him as long as he feels compelled to attack us. You cannot just pick a fight with people on this farm willy-nilly, otherwise everyone will come and defend them. But if you get them to attack first, then you can attack them with... You can fight them basically with impunity.
That's none of your business.
Nobody talks to me like that, you worm. I think it's time to kick your butt.
Your subtitles are incorrect, sir.
Defend yourself.
You might remember Buster from the colony, where he was much more helpful on our first interaction. Offered to help us become more agile. But for some reason this time he offers only to kick our ass. And notice he does a terrible job of that. Luckily, he's a free source of some random loot. Alright, stop whining and get yourself up so I can laugh at your face.
Well, we'll see the next time.
There won't be a next time.
All right. You're the better fighter. What do you want?
I want to find out more about the mercenaries in this region.
I can't tell you much about this region. You'd better ask the farmers. And as for us mercenaries, we have a very simple rule. If you can stand your ground, you're in. I think you're made of the right stuff to be one of us. But you shouldn't let it get to your head that you lucked out during our last fight. There are plenty of guys on the farm who are quite a bit better than I am. Sentenza, for one. He guards the entry to the farm. Whatever you do, don't pick a fight with him.
I'll try and remember that.
What about this Sentenza?
He'll try to squeeze some gold out of you when you come to the farm. He does that to all newcomers. And if I were you, I'd pay up. That's what I did back then. And the good thing was, and he voted for me afterwards. One good turn deserves another, he said. I lost all my gold in the bargain, but it wasn't much to begin with. And I was glad of it in the end. I once watched him beat up a fellow who had decided not to pay him.
Thanks for the hint.
Indeed. Could it be worth anything to you?
Here you are, 5 gold pieces.
Thanks, man. Looks like I can take a few tonight after all. I won't forget this.
Now, I've never tested it, so he mentions voting for you. Basically, if you want to join the mercenaries, you have to get the mercenaries to back you up on it. And most of the named ones have a job for you to do in order to secure their loyalty. Buster, I thought he voted for you as long as you won in your duel against him. But I believe... I actually don't know. I've never tested it. He might only vote for you as long as you hand him the 5 gold afterwards, to allow him to buy a beer or two to nurse his wounds with.
I want to join the mercenaries.
Anyone who can whack as hard as you shouldn't have too much trouble around here. My vote doesn't count much, since I haven't been here for long. But when Lee asks me, I'll vote for you.
It's actually funny that he says, anybody who whacks as hard as you. We actually don't whack nearly hard enough to beat anybody else who threatens us here, other than one fellow. But we'll encounter that in due time.
Lee is the leader of the mercenaries, isn't he?
Right. Hey, now I remember where I know you from. You were in the colony, too.
So I was.
I didn't see you when the Big Bang happened. Not for a while before that, either.
I had other problems.
Like creating the Big Bang.
Quite a lot, then. Things have changed since we were in the Slammer together.
So I find it funny, I've never thought about this before, but how Buster apparently had trouble joining the mercenaries, considering he was with them before. He was at least a rogue. He was familiar in the new camp, and yet it's somebody else who somebody who came and joined the mercenaries afterwards, who kind of was the sticking point for him joining, which was Sentenza. He obviously was not somebody we recognized from the new camp.
What became of the mercenaries in the colony?
Once the barrier was gone, Lee let us out of the colony. He said that nothing could happen to us if we all stuck together. And he was right. It wasn't too long before we found ourselves a cozy spot right here. The landowner pays us to beat up the militia from the city, and most of us would have volunteered to do that even without pay. But Onar feeds us all, and we can bide our time until we see a good opportunity to get away from this blasted island.
What, are you gonna build a boat?
Can you teach me how to fight better?
I might well be able to give you a hint or two.
He sure can, but we shall not take his offer. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I think now is a good time to end it. So, next time, we shall explore this farm here, and learn a little bit more about who these mercenaries are and what it really takes to get on their good side. As stated, we will not be joining the mercenaries, but we will want to go through all these initiation quests anyway, because once you join a faction, they become unavailable. That's a lot of free XP you lose out on, so we will get to that just to have that experience in our pocket. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you kindly for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch, subscribe to my stream archive channel, links in the description below if you want some of these live stream shenanigans. Follow me on Twitter if you have an account, if you are interested in any of these random announcements or whatever bullshit I feel like posting there. Otherwise, have yourselves a wonderful week, and see you next time.
I couldn't care less.
That's all just gossip.
Tell me that isn't true.
I'm no better off myself.
Can't rely on that.